So, I have a story for you guys. When I was in high school, I lived out in the country, and about 15 minutes from my house, there was like this graveyard. You've probably, I mean, if you're from areas like I am, you've come across like old abandoned graveyards and stuff. This one was like 15 minutes from my house, and it was, well, I mean, it wasn't the oldest that you could find, but these graves were like died in 1880, died in 1903. Especially like there was this one grave. It was a little girl. Apparently, she died. I guess she was about 4 or 5 years old when she had died. It was really sad, but so I had a friend over one night, and we were doing homework and stuff. And she was always a little out there, but we both like Garth Brooks, so we had similar music tastes. Yes, I said Garth Brooks. Don't judge. So I was telling her about this graveyard, and she was like, "Oh, you need to take me out there." She's like, "I got my stuff with me." I said, "What stuff?" She said, "Oh, it's have you heard of this?" And she started explaining it. Basically, it's that thing where you put a piece of paper over a grave, and you rub a crayon or chalk or whatever over it, and you get a copy of it. And I said, "I'm not taking you out there." "No." She said, "Well, I do it all the time." And I'm like, "I'm not taking you out to this graveyard so you can do that to the gravestones. That's so rude." I said, "How would you like it if somebody did that to your grave?" And she said, "Well, it's not going to matter because I'm going to be dead anyway. I'm not going to know." Okay, so that's when I was in high school. When I was 12, no, I can't say when I was 12. This was a little younger than that. Sorry, crazy old lady brain fart. I was probably 9 or 10 when we lived up in Michigan. We lived in this really old house. It was like 200 years old or something. It had this ranch style porch, and part of the porch you couldn't go toward because it was all broken and stuff. It was a little hazardous. But this house had this basement, and I swear it was like a serial killer basement, right? It was creepy. And it had this huge furnace. It was a round furnace, and its arms were like they would stretch out from the top of it and connect to the floorboards like above it, the heating ducts and stuff. Oh my god, it was so creepy. And it was even worse when it was at night. So my stepdad was a truck driver, and one night he was gone. He was gone for about a week, and we were expecting him home in a couple days. And my mother was downstairs doing laundry, and I heard her scream. And I ran down there, and when I got to the bottom of the steps, I froze. Because we were both just standing there, staring into the dark. And right by the furnace, it looked like there was a somewhat medium height, skinny dude with a black turtleneck sweater on. It kind of looked like there was somebody standing back there. Whew, I'm getting chills. My mother and I stood there just staring. And I know she's thinking what I'm thinking. Is this caught us off guard? Maybe this is just like a trick of the shadows? It may look like somebody's back there. And I'm sure we were just about convinced ourselves that maybe, just maybe, this is just in our minds. Until this dude did something like this. He turned his head. My mother screamed, oh my gosh, and she had like a really shrill scream. And I'm over here by the steps. She was standing over here by the dryer, and she like almost knocked me over trying to get up the steps. She knocked me into the table where, you know, she keeps her soap, her laundry soap. And there was a flashlight on that table. I remember it was just a reflex thing. I grabbed the flashlight and I turned it on and I swung around and pointed the flashlight toward the area where this guy was at. And I am not kidding you, it looked like he had either glided a little more toward, like, behind the furnace, or he just kind of melted a little bit into the shadows. He was slowly dissipating, like disappearing. And I was like, oh, I just did not see that. I just did not see that. I saw that. I saw that. My mother had actually stopped at one point, like halfway up the stairs, and she's coming, thundering down the steps, and she's grabbing me, she's pulling me out. She gets on the phone with the police. She was like, there's somebody in our house. He's in the basement. I've got the door locked now. The cops come. There's nobody in the basement. And he said, well, what did he look like? She said he was kind of like he was about my height, and he was skinny, and it looked like he was wearing a black turtleneck. Oh! She saw exactly what I saw. We both saw the same crazy shit. So it's true what they say. It's true what they say. Ghost stories always sound like they're, you know, not true. You know, oh, it's just bullshit. You know, a good many of them sound like they're absolute bullshit. Until you're in one, okay? Until you're in a ghost story, they all sound like crap, okay? When you're in one, it's different. So fast forward back to my friend in high school, right? When she said to me, well, what's it gonna matter? I'm gonna be dead. I'm not gonna know, or I'm not gonna care anyway. And all I could think in my mind was, don't fucking count on it. Don't count on it. So that's my story. My ghost story. When I come back, we're gonna talk a little bit about dealing with the dead. I just thought I'd get like an intro video to that. So I guess we'll just call this part 1, where I got to tell you like a really creepy story. And I am so proud of myself because I was able to recall that story without getting like too wigged out, like, because, oh gosh, just remembering that dude in the shadows. My heart wanted to jump up into my throat, but I told it like a big girl. Anyway, I'll be back.